I am a man, I am a man, I am a man, yes. Strong man, integrity man. I am a man. I am a man, I am a man,
I am a man, yes. Strong man, integrity man. Man, we're there. Welcome to the program designed for men with guests who are men, hosted by men. This is the Mailbox, aired every Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. right here on Love 101 FM, the family station. I am Kevin Bailey.
And I am Courtney Morrison. Welcome to the Mailbox. It's time for another Mentegrity Wednesday. Thank you all for tuning in. We're happy to have you here with us. Indeed, it has been a wonderful week so far. I think it's been quite a while since we have had a Mentegrity Wednesday. As I go, true? We never have one last month. Well, I mean, they are a month apart, so I guess that's probably the time span. Duh. So, what's up, Kev? Talk to me.
Well, it's the 22nd of September already. Imagine that, the 22nd of September. Time really goes very fast. And it's great that we're having Mentegrity. I like it when we're able to have a chit-chat, a conversation with a man to learn from the man, his life story, challenges, successes, and words of wisdom so that other men can hear, be blessed, So I'm excited about this, Courtney.
Yes, awesome. And today we have our Mentegrity man, and our Mentegrity man for this month is the Reverend Karl Brown, Senior Pastor at Glory Carrier International Ministries. Yeah, man. Big things are going today. He's overseer within the Restoration Churches of Jesus Christ Apostolic New York, convener of Praise Break. He is a father and he is a husband. And so it is our privilege, it is our honor to have with us the Reverend Karl Brown. Sir Glory Carrier, good afternoon. Good to have you with us this evening. How you do?
I am awesome. I'm blessed. Good afternoon. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for being with us. We are very honored and privileged to have you. And I'm sure God is going to use this time to be a blessing to so many men who will be looking, watching, and listening as well. So welcome to the Mailbox. Great to have you. Man, remember, we want to hear from you. We're live on Facebook and also YouTube at Love 101 FM Jamaica. You can leave your comments via our WhatsApp line. Remember, our WhatsApp line is 876-997-3125. Ladies, we thank you so much for your participation and support. You have been there praying for us, encouraging us. But please leave a message via the WhatsApp or comment on our Facebook page. Please do not call or leave any voice note. Leave that for the man them. Let the men have this safe space, all right? So thank you so much, ladies. I appreciate that.
Ladies, we really love you. Well, right after the break, we'll have a chit-chat with our Mentegrity man who pastors at Glory Carrier International Ministries. And also, we heard that he added to his list of titles and achievement. He's now an author. Can you imagine? Big things are going for Reverend Brown. We take a break and we'll be right back right after this. Come back to you later.
Building wealth the smart way means you have a clear mission for your money. Specific and measurable means defining the reason for your financial goals. Achievable and realistic means keeping those goals meaningful, yet attainable. Think more retirement, less world's richest. Timely means keeping a time frame in mind so that all efforts remain focused.
Visit barita.com/opportunities for more growth coach insights.
Life comes at you fast and it can hit hard. Apply for the Credit Union Prepaid MasterCard from C&WJ with chip and PIN protection. Need a card with a personal line of credit for emergencies? We have that. Need a card you can use to shop online for that must-have item? We have that. The community and workers of Jamaica Prepaid MasterCard. All the convenience of a MasterCard. Discover the benefits of belonging.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Joan Pinckney, counseling psychologist. We are all facing difficult times in one form or another, and I know that a listening ear, some wise counseling, and spiritual guidance are necessary to help us face those times. That's why I'm here. I'm the counselor, your counselor, on Love 101 FM, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 10 to 11 p.m. You know you can call on me. I will listen and more. So let's talk about what's bothering you, anything at all. For the month of September, our focus on the counselor will be on our teens and children, how they have been coping during the pandemic. I'll have some teen guests to share their experiences. Now, I know the program starts at 10, so teens, get permission from your parents to join me. I look forward to hearing from you. Tune in, listen, call in, text or voice message, Tuesdays and Wednesdays at 10 p.m. I'm Dr. Joan Pinckney, counseling psychologist, ready with a listening ear, right here on the family station, Love 101 FM.
For I am standing. Yes, strong man, pretty man.
Welcome back to the Mailbox 101 FM. I'm Kevin Bailey, and Reverend Courtney Morrison is in the place. We're very happy to be having a conversation with Reverend Karl Brown. He's our Mentegrity guest for this afternoon, and we'll soon go right into it because we know how time fly, right? But we have to do our shout out, Courtney, to the man there. So we need to do that after three, right? 1, 2, 3.
Monday! Yo, all of them on them. It's really a great time to be with us on a Wednesday, and today is Mentegrity. But we want to get into that segment quite quickly. Time really tends to fly. I don't know if it's the shortening of the days. I believe we only have about 100 days left in the year. And so by the time you're quint, Christmas, right? But it's time. We want to get into our main segment. The inbox. That's what it's called, the inbox. We are taking a look at man of integrity. Who is a man of integrity? Well, Proverbs 10, verse 9. And what better way to define it is from the scriptures. The New International Version says, whoever walks in integrity walks securely, but whoever takes crooked paths will be found out.
Very powerful, and what a time, especially with COVID-19 pandemic and so many changes and challenges and difficulties that we need to be able to walk securely. Guess what, listeners? From Morning Point to Negril, we have a man here who will be able to share with us and be a blessing to us. He gave his life to the Lord in his early teenage years. And since then, his ministry has extended from working with choirs and hosting workshops and training sessions. And let me tell you, I'm not going to give you everything because we're going to leave some for the questions. But just to let you know that Reverend Brown is family centered. He's married to one woman, his wife, Reverend Dr. Nicolette, where they parent 3 children. This outstanding servant of God has a deliverance ministry at heart. He takes pride in ministering to the discouraged, the hurting, broken-hearted, and works tirelessly to see believers receive the gift and power of the Holy Spirit. He is a certified counselor, offers services of marriage, grief, pastoral counseling. I'm telling you, a skilled entrepreneur and owner of Khalil Attitude and Closet Catering to the needs of those that requires the skills to be certified fashion designer and image consultant. Courtney, we have word for things to learn.
No, we don't have enough time to cover all of them, but we want to let all that is happening here today, Reverend Brown. And so we want to jump straight into it. want to hear about your life. This is exclusive. I don't think you have given this anyway. We want to hear about when you're picnic. Oh, sorry, we have international listeners now. From your childhood days, we want to hear
Yes.
how did everything get started?
Yes.
Your parents, were you born with a gold spoon in your mouth? Did the color change from gold? Was it gold plated or was it rich? We want to hear and a little bit about your educational process. Of course, good to have you. Let's go.
Thanks again. For that question. I believe that all 8 of us, our parents had 8 of us, one mother,
Wow.
one father, all
Mhm.
8 of us, I believe, were born with the blessing of being raised in a Christian home
Mm.
with on Christian principles and morals that
Mhm.
shaped us to be who we are today.
Mhm.
So I consider that we were born with gold spoons in our mouth.
Ah,
That's what I believe.
yes. Wow.
Yeah,
And
for
where
me,
was this
that's
geographically? Where were you born?
Irish
And
Town in the
Irish
cool
Town.
hills of Irish Town, St. Andrew. Yes, yes, that's where I was
And
raised.
and your exposure to school,
Mhm.
what was it? Basic school and primary. And then what time? When did you make the shift? That kind of thing. Give us a little bit about those early
Okay,
years.
well, all right. Yeah, well, it was the basic school, Miss Greta's basic school. That was, every church had a basic school.
Yeah.
Every church had a basic school. And then, you transition to the all age school. It was a primary school at that time. It was all age school. And then I was successful in that technical entrance
Okay.
Mm.
examination, and then I attended Kingston Technical High School, and then
Ah.
from there into other areas of studies. Yes.
Oh, excellent, excellent. We want to hear a
Hmm.
bit more on that. What are your challenges you faced in growing up, especially high school, KT, right there on Anova Street, downtown Kingston? What were some of the
Hmm.
challenges you faced? Were there issues with boyfriend, with girlfriend, boyfriend issues?
Mm.
Tell us a bit about
Yeah.
your growing up, and at what point did you transition into becoming a Christian? Let's hear a bit about that.
Honestly, the challenges that I faced at the time is not the challenges that are prevalent today. My challenge was getting to school and back from so far in the hills,
Mm. Yes.
leaving before daylight and trying to get
Mm.
back before night. I mean, the
Mm-hmm.
challenge of being influenced, by others. Really, I never faced that because
Mm.
I was grown in a home where the principles and the morals were so high. I am the
Mm.
last of 8, one sister.
Mm.
So I had some brothers that would
Wow.
have been, just waiting if I erred to draw, to pull me up. So I
Mm.
really didn't have the challenges of being influenced. I mean, I go to school. My brother used to ride a under 50. He worked with the Ministry of Labor and Welfare at Hero Circle. So he
Yes.
would take me to school and I find my way back home. And I had to get back home in reasonable time. And it wasn't that I was this good boy, but based on the principles, I didn't have challenges like peer pressure and being influenced to do things that were not right. I really didn't have those kind of challenges. It was probably more, as I say, living so far, because
Mm-hmm.
eventually I had to come live with a brother in Portmore. That's how I end up in the parish of Portmore. Yeah,
Ah.
because of the traveling.
I like that.
because of the
Uh,
traveling because of the
yes.
traveling, I eventually had to, come be with a brother in Portmore. But then I found a church because I was
Mm.
raised in church, and
Ah.
I decided that I was not home with mom to be in church every Sunday, but I had to be in church. My brother didn't go to church, but I found a church, walked one morning, heard a sound, because I didn't know where the churches were. I just was intentional. And I heard a sound and went to a church, and that was Rehoboth, right there in Independence City. And
Reverend
and
Bradley
that's
Dyer.
where Bradley Septimus Irwin Dyer.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And so that's when I, during those times, I, decide to make that decision to accept the Lord, as my Savior. But it wasn't this grand, lightning and vision, because we were already, raised in that kind of environment. We were just allowed that time. We weren't forced into getting baptized, as rigid as my mom was. We weren't forced into that. We were allowed the time to accept the Lord, at whenever you please. But for me, it was just a path that I believe I had to take after a while.
So you I mean, just looking at you, I can only assume you're a handsome teenager in school there. How did you manage the girls, and when they would want to make approach, and how did you navigate the male female dynamics, with testosterone and being a teenager? How was that for you?
That for me, I always say this: if I don't know what I want, at least I know what I don't want. And at those times, again, I was just intentional of trying to make my parents proud. We were poor, but we were sophisticated, and I just had to remain focused like that. You know what I mean? For some reason, I always had those leadership qualities. So a lot was expected from me from even early. So even in school, you were like prefect, you were peer counselor. So, you still had to maintain. And I'm not being, farce or anything. That's me. I have a strong will, and I just had to maintain that. I know what what, if I didn't know what I want, I knew what I didn't want it. And I didn't want to get in any kind of trouble like that at that age, and even growing up. And even for now, even now, even though married, again, I just know what I'm about.
If you're just tuning in, you are listening to the Reverend Karl Glory Carrier Brown, who is with us today. We're speaking with him. He's our man of integrity for today. And as such, we're hearing that he was also a boy of integrity. Reverend Brown, here's my question. I hear you talk about the strictness of your mom. Tell us a bit about that as well. How was he? What role he had in your life? How was that for you growing up?
Well, both parents, were present, because as I said, eight of us, same mother, same father. But my dad was this. Well, he didn't speak a lot or speak every time. So anytime something, if something went wrong, it wasn't that father who would have intervened every time. But when he did, it was eventful. So even that would have allowed you. So even that would have allowed you, to keep in check. But yeah, that was always there. He was a workaholic, Again, traveling so far, he used to work with Western Terminals at the wharves. So he leaves before daylight and came back, when night was about to come, So he was there, but he worked. He provided for the family, and mom was home, and she was, the one that had the hands on, along with the other 6 brothers. Yeah.
So you are now wearing so many hats. When you were young, what was your dream? What did you want to become in life? And share a little bit about, has that materialized, has that shifted, and how did you
Mhm.
accommodate changes, if any? But yeah, at a young age, what were you dreaming of become and your desire?
At a young age, in our time, to be a teacher was everything,
Mm,
So that is one of the things that I had in mind that I wanted to be. I mean, I short-lived that, because I did teaching for a few years, but then
uh,
I realized that there were other just natural things that I could have tapped into, and so moving away from the traditional stuff, I realized that I have a knack for designing, and
mm,
I shifted into that after a while, not just teaching. I did business administration in school, and other stuff. I studied theology at Jamaica Theological Seminary and counseling,
mm,
So there were some other stuff too that I dabbled in, but then I realized that there was just this natural knack for designing, so I sought certification in that. So I'm now a certified fashion designer and image
wow.
consultant, and that
Mm,
just transcend into a whole new world, taking me places that I've never, dreamed of, even as a little
mm,
boy growing up, that you would
yeah.
have been, designing and dressing people, like prime ministers' wives, politicians, pastors
Wow.
and their wives, So yeah, that really shifted, in
Mm,
to the other end of the spectrum, really.
ah, that's
That's
amazing point.
good.
Yeah.
Good. I was just about to ask, are you responsible for dressing your wife after hearing that you're a certified fashion designer? And what
I,
does she think about
I proudly
what you do?
I I proudly say she wears nothing other than the Khalil's brand. My awesome
Wow.
wife Nicolette. Yeah, she wears nothing. After a while, I was like, those hats. You're not allowed to wear anything else other than what I make. But she's blown away now by them that she wouldn't even on her own want to wear anything else. So
Yeah.
yeah, I do have the responsibility of designing and make sure that my wife looks the best. You know.
But I find it interesting, Reverend. You being a fashion designer and a minister, and using this
Yeah.
gift, many persons looking, listening. Was there any struggle for you to manifest those giftings, natural giftings, to become a fashion designer, working with these caliber people, but at the same time being a minister of the gospel? Were there the Christian community? How did they look at that? Share with us, because I know men sometimes have
Mhm.
these gifts, but they think that God works in a particular way, and they can't wrap their head around what you're doing. Share with us all that.
The struggle, I think, was for others to accept the fact that I'm a minister of religion and a fashion designer. I really had
Mm,
no struggle with that because I was always confident in who I am, and what I do. I believe it was more for others to really accept the fact that this is what I do. But
mm,
for me, this was this was another door for ministry for me,
mm.
because when I travel internationally and is backstage with these girls, and getting ready to go out, I
Yeah.
always gather them
Oh.
and pray over them and pray for their
Mm,
career. And I've had where models come to me and cry and say, nobody has ever done this for us in all our years of doing this. So that was ministry on another level for me. You know, when I get coverage from the newspapers, and I'm talking internationally again, I never miss the opportunity to give God, you know, the glory and the honor and the appreciation for what he's doing through me. And people will read that and call me and really was, you know, is taken aback or is blessed by the fact that, you know, I use this also as a ministry. I will pray over the hats. People will call me and say, what's happening? I wore your hat and something is happening. And I'm saying, all I do, I pray. Pastors' wives call me crying. You know, there is something. A lady told me she got up one night out of her bed and put back the hat on and going and slept in it because of what she felt by wearing that. You know, this was ministry on another level for me, or this is ministry on another level for me. I run into people that, you know, you try to dress them, you try to give, you know, advices, and you realize they're suffering from self-esteem issues, you know, hurting women. And sometimes you end up engaging in conversations with them that they've never talked about before. Yes. And this is an avenue now to pray with them, to engage in counseling, you know, just ministry on another level. That's what it is for me.
Awesome. I'm impressed, and I'm hoping that our men are listening to hear that there are other ways, and ministers as well, that there are other ways of expressing ministry, not necessarily only what we're thinking of in the traditional sense. If you just tuned in again, we're talking to Senior Pastor at Glory Carrier International Ministries. He is overseer within the Restoration Church of Jesus Christ Apostolic, Brooklyn, New York, yeah man, Jamaica, and everywhere. Convener of Praise Break, father, and a wonderful husband, as you just heard him talking about. His wife doesn't wear any other brand than the Karl brand.
No.
Everything is up. And so we want to talk a little bit more. I mean, we're going into a break shortly, but your definition of the word success. We hear about the Karl brand, we hear about what you're doing. Success. What would be your definition? Just tell us that, and we go a bit into it after the break as well. But in the next minute and a half, your definition of success.
Success for me is that sense of accomplishment, completion in whatever you do. You know, it's not about money, but it is that sense of accomplishment. That's what it is for me. Reaching that desired, you know, goal and getting the expected results. That's what success is for me. That sense and that place of accomplishment in life. So many people have money, rich, but are not at that place. But success for me is that place of contentment with self and accomplishment.
I was just about to ask you, based on your definition, giving yourself of a rating between 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest and 10 being the highest, what would you give yourself as a score?
I'm at 10 and ready to start all over again.
Excellent.
With recently, you know, married, that just push it right up, and I'm ready to start all over again. I'm at 10.
We're going to come right back to that issue of marriage as well. We're going into a break. Thank you for joining us here in the mailbox. We're talking to Reverend Karl Brown. We will be back with you right after these messages.
Yes, strong man, integrity man, I am a man.
Don't miss this opportunity to earn international and local certificates in just 1 month at Distinction College. Register now and start our Super Easter program from March 20 to April 24. Get qualified in geriatric and pediatric nursing, phlebotomy, housekeeping and call center, customer service, business admin, receptionist, supervisory management, cashiering, childcare, and nail technology. No subjects required, no age limit, no entrance test. Register this week and get 10 to 25% discounts on all courses. Call 876-356-4167 or 876-354-8560. Visit us in Kingston, Spanish Town, Ojo or St. Elizabeth.
Building wealth the smart way means you have a clear mission for your money. Specific and measurable means defining the reason for your financial goals. Achievable and realistic means keeping those goals meaningful, yet attainable. Think more retirement, less world's richest. Timely means keeping a time frame in mind so that all efforts remain focused.
Visit barita.com/opportunities for more growth coach insights.
Become the hero on the scene by taking the COVID vaccine. Get vaccinated as soon as you get all the facts. Don't listen to the rumors. This vaccine might just make it possible for teachers to sit face to face with schoolers. This vaccine make it safer for everybody, from the young to the elderly. Don't you want to go back to living normally when things were more orderly? And if you want to live a long good life, then we all have to do what's right. So let's get vaccinated along with the heroes at the front line. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Our I Love Summer campaign is over, and so is summer, but not the excitement, because we want to relive the moments of the journey we enjoyed.
So journey with me, Siobhan Blair, this Friday, September 24, along with the team here at Love 101 at 7 p.m. for I Love Summer review show. Come for the laugh, the excitement, and giveaways.
We will be live on Facebook and YouTube.
So set your alarm.
And meet us at 7 p.m. this Friday inside
Fellowship Fridays.
Here on Love 101, the
family station.
Yes. Strong man, integrity man. I am a man.
Yes, so welcome back. You're listening to the program, The Mailbox, live here today, Wednesday, September 22. Yes, with only 100 days left in the year. We're talking to the Reverend Karl, and I'm going by his Facebook name, Glory Carrier Brown. He is a man of integrity. Yeah, man, I follow you, man. So no feel no way. I follow you. He's overseer within the Restoration Churches of Jesus Christ Apostolic Brooklyn, New York, convener of Praise Break, which we're going to be talking a bit about father and husband. And just before we went into the break, he gave us his definition of success, and he also spoke of marriage. We want to hear a little bit about that marriage and a little bit about your conversion. And Praise Break. So those three things we want to look at. But we want to start firstly with that marriage. You had ended speaking that you were recently married. How recent is recent? Tell us a bit about that. How did you meet her?
Well, because of what I do as a designer, few years ago, I had posted a hat on my page. She fell in love with the hat, bought the hat. I met her at an intern, just handed her the hat and kept going. But then a few days later, that would have been my official installation as a pastor. So I was just going through my friends list, sending invitation out. So she showed up at the service on the Sunday. Interestingly,
yes,
we haven't had any exchange other than, that one time or texting about the hat. But interestingly, when Reverend Nicolette showed up at church, we gave the visiting ministers an opportunity to greet. People were asking me after the service, who is that lady? Pastor, did is that your friend? I'm like, no, that was just another random visitor. But sometimes people could have an eye to see some things that you really don't. And then randomly, Nicolette would just visit church, pass by church. And then she said she really liked it. She really liked it at church. And she started, being a little more frequent, and I really saw her heart. I say this all the time. It wasn't seeing her and thought, "Whoa, pretty girl, boy, my offer try get to her." It wasn't that.
Yeah.
She was there for a bit.
We're taking your word for it.
For real, man. She was there, just coming on board, and as a worker that she is. And I said to my assistant pastor one day, I like that girl's heart. She has an awesome heart. And then, I said to him, just watch me closely. If you see me like I'm doing anything stupid, just pull me in. But I'm a watcher and
Yes.
I always like to be accountable. I always believe that accountability is very important. And then eventually we started corresponding just on a social level, until one day I thought I wanted to let this girl know how I felt. So I asked her out to lunch, and she had her favorite place that she did lunch, and I went, and she sat and talked. She was having some challenges at work, so I sat and listened. I was like, my girl don't know, send me have something to say, and I listened, and when she was finished talking, because the whole conversation was like, I should have migrated about 6 months ago, and I think the time is right. So when she was done, I was like, you mentioned that you should have migrated. I'm happy you didn't. So she was like, look at me like, and I say, because, and I just told her how I felt. She said, no, sir. Because, you come into church and it's pastor. She said, no, sir, no, sir. And she covered her face, and was just crying. She's like, no, sir, no. But then, afterwards, she calmed down, and we just started talking from there. And it blossomed, like 2 years later. 2 years later, nobody knew. I told my associate pastor and probably two other persons, their parents, but we did this quite professionally and with integrity, and
discreetly and advisedly.
Right.
So it seems to me, Reverend Brown, that was a hat trick. And
I like that. Drop of a hat. I saw what you did there. I love that. Bless and anoint.
It was at the drop of a hat.
Yeah. Tell us what have you learned that our men listening? We understand that marriage can be hard work as rewarding. If you were to share 2 or 3 things that you have learned that really make a marriage worthwhile, and pleasing to God and growing, what would those things be?
Okay, some of the most important principles that we embrace in our relationship is establishing boundaries. And that was even before marriage. You have to establish boundaries, and mutual understanding of, what the boundaries are. Big thing for me on the list again is mutual respect. Even, from dating, I often say to her, if this doesn't go in the direction we would have wanted, and if the Lord would allow otherwise, you should still be able to come to church, and don't feel as if you were violated by me in any ways. And you should be able to sit at the front, and I should be able to preach, and don't feel as if, there goes somebody that I disrespected or crossed the boundary with or violated. So, those are some of the things that I believe, allow the time to get to know each other, Don't set no unrealistic time that by 6 months you're supposed to marry and have children and gone to Paris. No, allow yourself the time to get to know each other to that point where you're comfortable of moving on to the next level. For me, again, it was also important that being in ministry, we did not become so engulfed with each other to create a distraction. And we talked about that. She said to me, she said, Pastor, I don't want to create a distraction. I don't, you know what I mean? If we're going to do this and it is going to negatively impact us ministering and being effective, that means something is wrong with that. So those are some of the, the principles, some of the, the advices I would have given to persons. Just ensure that you establish boundaries. The both of you must be on the same level. I remember after we met and talked, she said, I give you some time to think. She called me and said, so you talk, what does it mean? Are we dating? It wasn't in my head. I'm thinking that I'm dating her. And she just thought, oh, he just said how he felt. We established what we were doing. So nobody never felt as if they were in a relationship and the other person, they say, but I never tell us every day, you know what I mean?
Yes.
We both, established where we were and the mutual respect for each other, up to today, we still, and I know it's 6 months going, but we still say thank you. We still say you're welcome. These are some of the things that, we have to ensure that as men, we really be on top of the game.
How long now have you been married? And I see where it says yourself and Reverend Dr. Nicolette, parent 3 children. Tell us a bit about balancing the marriage, the children, the ministry. Both of you are reverends. Some of us as ministers are unable to really put those together well. Tell us a bit, how does one manage all? How long have you been married? How do you balance the ministry?
Well,
how do you do?
As I said, just a few days ago, we celebrated 6 months going into 7. But we balance. We are intentional in what we do, and balance for us is important. So like for family, I love to cook. So it's easy for me to say this weekend I'm going to cook. We go, and Nicolette loves to cook too. I think Nicolette has one of her degrees is in cooking. So the two of us coming together, So
yes.
we will intentionally throw a big cooking and call over,
Can I give you my address and phone number and you invite me over one of the days when you're doing it? I love to eat. Good cooking.
So that creates a kind of balance. Okay.
Yes.
So we cook and have family time, eat and you chat over dinner, have a good evening, spend the whole Saturday together. One of the other things I like to do is traveling and going on long rides out of town. We get the kids in the car and we go, or sometimes just the two of us. We'll do that and talk intentionally, and ensuring that everything is balanced. I'll drive and I ask on my way. I say, Nix, am I being a good husband? Because we want to make sure. Say, how do I handle church? Am I being a good pastor? If I am not sure, I will ask her. How am I doing this? And she will ask me the same. Are you happy? I'll get up on any given day and say, Nix, are you happy? What are you asking me this, babe? I just want to be sure that this thing is going right and that we're balanced. So it is important that being in ministry also that we allow each other space. And for my personality, trust me, I need that. I spend a lot of time just in my work area, in my office right here doing stuff. But then, we are intentional again in balancing. I'll get up and go to her office, sit down. How you doing? How is work going? Chat for a bit. She come in, look on some designs. No, I don't think you should do it that way. Do it this way. Or she just come. Are you okay? We try to just be intentional that we balance and cater to each other and grow with each other. So
Very,
that's
very,
it for
very.
me as it speaks to balance. Yeah.
Lots of significant things you have said, and very encouraging. One of the things that our men face, of course, is difficulties, challenges. Sometimes what they term as failure. They have done something, they try to do something, but it's not working, and they are not having success. Have you ever had a time, when you weren't having success, when you felt that, whoa, this thing not working? It was a difficult time. And how did you overcome that to achieve all that you have achieved and to be at a better place? Could you share anything like that?
Definitely. I have been to points in my life where I felt like I failed. I was a failure. I've had situations like those. But one of the things, as you heard me mention before, accountability. It's always good to have someone, that you can be accountable to, who can be true to you, who will tell you even what you don't want to hear. And for quite a while in my life, Reverend Barif, has been that person. You should know Dr. Barif, Merlin Barif, she is like another mother for me, that even when I didn't trust myself, I could trust her. And I say to people, you need that kind of support in your life, that the day you get up and can't trust your decision, you must have somebody that they can think for you and they can guide you, and that you could put your head on the block, that they will lead you in a good way. So it's always good to have that kind of support. It might not be a community, but even that one person that that you can go to, that you can speak and pour into you, and be honest. If you're not okay, you are not okay, and let somebody know you're not okay. A lot of time the men will not want to talk, will want to bottle stuff up and try to be macho. I got this. No, if you don't have it, you don't have it. And you're not the only one on your block. Somebody else on the block not having it, don't have it together either. We more want to be proving a point, and that's not always a good place to be. If you are not okay, if you feel like you're at a point of failure, find somebody. You might not be able to speak to everyone, but there must be someone that you can really just be true to, and that helps.
Oh, bless you. The Reverend Dr. Merlin Barif. I know her quite well too. She's a pastor for Ministers Fraternal for year. She's from Foursquare Church. Excellent woman of God. What three things, though, would you say would help, as you're being our man of integrity guest, that would help to keep our men walking in integrity? How do our men continue to walk in integrity, or if they felt or feel as if they have somehow integrity has eluded them? How do they correct? What three things would you say to our men, how to walk in integrity and ensure that we are getting it right?
Failure is not permanent. So even if you fail at a situation, at a matter, at a project, it doesn't mean that you are a failure for the rest of your life. So I first of all, don't allow, and this is a Christian, based program, don't allow the devil's lies to get the better of you. You might fail at something. Fail at a marriage, fail at a ministry, fail at a business, but that doesn't dictate the rest of your life, who and what you are. So that's one. I will repeat myself about being accountable to someone. That also helps, that that you can always have someone who will pour into you, who can help you to regroup and come again. That is very, very, very important. And be intentional. If I even where I am today, doesn't mean that I'm going to be there tomorrow. And take steps. Take steps to move from where you are. Be intentional. That if you fail today, if it's not working out today, if it's not happening for me now, okay, what are the steps that I will take, I can take to move from this place? Because a goal without steps towards the goal is a wish, and too many people are wishing, and that's not gonna work. Be intentional, that even if I fail, what are the steps I take that I won't meet this same fate again? So those are my three, my three, pointers to men today.
Thank you for sharing that. Do you think that every man can be successful? And sometimes we hear it on the corners, not now go on. I saw the thing set, and it's like people think that the system, Babylon, set up against them. What would you say, whether to the man in rural Jamaica or urban Kingston City or in the US otherwise, wondering if he can be successful? Do you believe all men can be successful, and what does it take for them to be successful?
I believe all men can be successful. One of the challenges that we have is what we were cultured to measure success by. So for the average, the average man in the street, success is having a heap of money and big car and, all these kind of things. But again, as I said to you earlier, success is way more than that. And it's not as materialistic, if I might say. Success is this place of contentment and accomplishment, that you feel that when you have done all you can and you come to this place of satisfaction, all of us can be, and do not measure somebody else's success. Try to line up. Okay, so John is successful because he got a car and a house. So I am not successful until I have that. You must determine, your success for you on your scale. Because in this time we are more competitive and trying to see it as being successful, when I believe we're more taken over by this competitive behavior, But I believe that we all can be successful, be intentional about what we want, what we set out to be. Men are created, to be leaders, and I believe that we have that God-given, thing about us, that with our intentionality and with us putting God first and including him in everything we do, we can be successful. Again, what scale are you measuring your success on? That is where the real challenge comes in. What scale, what measuring stick, my mom would say, are you using to measure success?
Awesome. Thank you very much for that answer, Reverend Karl Brown, pastor at Glory Carrier International Ministries. You are also convener of Praise Break, and we just want to get it in because we only have about 5 minutes left. We want to get in before we ask our
Yes.
last and final question. Tell us a bit about Praise Break and what it's all about. You know.
Okay, praise break is a word praise and worship. I call it encounter. You know that I started a few over 10 years ago, and it has gone the length and breadth, of the world. I've gone to as far as Wisconsin. To host praise break. It's a praise and worship encounter. Something above and beyond what we may consider a worship service, but I believe that we have to, to be an effective worship leader, you have to be able to take persons to a place in worship that they might have never been before. And you also have to have had to gone there. And I realize that a lot of worship leaders, and I'm not knocking anybody, but most times we try to create an atmosphere that we're not familiar with. We haven't spent time, in the presence of the Lord and understand how to usher the glory of the Lord, among the people. So, that's what Praise Break is about. It's just because of the pandemic why we're not doing any right now. But as soon as, things clear up, we'll be back with Praise Break.
It leads me to a question. Worship and men. We
Yes.
hear that in church, especially we're not seeing the men, in church. Worship seem to have taken on a feminine sort of character.
Right.
What's up with our men and worship? Is it that they're not worshiping, or is it that they have a different way of doing it? And what role does worship play in the lives of our men who are listening?
Again, as you mentioned, we were cultured, to be to kind of swing worship with a more, feminine vibe to it, and I think sometimes the men might shy away from that. I think we need, and that's what Praise Break, also does, just to allow us to realize that worship is not static to a particular, while worship is instructive, some levels of worship is instructive. You tell people lift your hands and whatever, but there's another level of worship that, it is not static to what we might be so used to. A man might not stand up and cry, in worship, but there is, he can still touch the heart of God. And we also want to are caught up in how we look to others while we worship. So boy, it look like him really worship, and we have to get beyond that, and come to that worship in spirit and in truth. Worship comes from the heart, and you can't see my heart, but while a heart of worship would have, stimulated you to respond in different ways, we have been cultured to believe that if you don't look a certain way, if you don't make a certain sound, if you don't respond a certain way, you're not worshiping. And I think that affects, even how the men would get involved and submerged into the worship experience.
Thank you. A final few seconds on a word to our men. Based on your life lesson, what powerful thing would you say to our men, for them to really fulfill purpose? Your final comments here, Rev.
To the men, don't forget that we were created to be leaders. And it is important to maintain high standards and be examples to our wives and our children. Let us not lose sight of that we were created to be leaders, and it is important that we maintain that high level of standards and be exemplary. And I know we're closing, but my wife, she calls me Israel. And when she talk about me, she said my priest. And that pushes me to another level of while it is fascinating and tickling to the ear, but when I get by myself, I am praying and I'm saying, God, I need to maintain being that priest and that Israel, in the eyes of Nicolette and the children. And even as I serve as a pastor, I must be intentional that I maintain high standards and integrity in whatever I do, and whatever in my career and in ministry, and even as a husband and father. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
that's what I would say to the men.
Awesome way to end. Awesome way to end. Thank you very much, Karl, Gloria, Carrier Brown. Rev, blessings.
Thank you, man.
It's good to have you. We want to say thanks
Thank you
to our
very
producer,
much.
Tony K. Bromfield, to Nissan Williams for technical support. Kev, I have to say thanks to
Yes,
you.
Joe.
And our guests.
Very special Mentegrity guest, Reverend Karl Brown. Listen again next week for another Mailbox, the program designed for men with guests who are men, hosted by men. I'm Kevin Bailey.
And I'm Courtney Morrison. Next week, Monday.
I am a man, yes. Strong man, integrity man. I am a man.